Welcome again, everyone. And today we will be talking about the importance of leadership in project management. Today's topic is leadership, and we will be learning how project managers are leader-intensive uh, profession. I mean, the project management is something about leadership. So there's a difference between being a manager, managing something, and being a leader of something. We will talk about this, we will learn this. And we will talk also the emotional part of being a leader, being a project manager, because you are dealing with people. Projects are done through teams, and you need to understand the emotions of people as well. And what kind of personality traits are important for business leadership and as well as project champions we will talk about. And then we will finish this lecture. So we say that project management is leader intensive. Why we are saying that? Why leadership is so important in project? So actually, there is a discussion in the literature of management, leadership literature especially. They say that apart from project scope, in the companies, someone who has the authority over the people should not be think in the classical way, like some boss orders something to his workers and they do the job, right? Or some authority, big level authority, like a bureaucratic way. They just give the orders and the middle level managers and the workers are following that orders. This kind of a hierarchy and classical understanding of management are out of date actually. What we what we expect from leaders or managers is to lead their followers, right? To lead their workers. As you see, the concept itself includes some dimensions about leading and following, rather than being a boss and worker, being a manager and employee, right? So a manager in the classical understanding think of the business's interests, right? Think of the business's goals and objectives, and then the workers, the employees are just a dimension of their function, right? Just a labor force. And they look at the people in their company, in their project teams or whatever, wherever. They think that they approach that, the classical understanding of management, as a labor factor. If you don't like the performance of one worker, you will just fire him. You will employ another one. It's just a labor force, right? And the more important thing is the business success, business interests, and business general objectives and goals. Okay, this is somehow is right? Somehow we need to think about business interests. Somehow we need to think about the goals of the business, objectives of the business. They have some priority, of course. However, it's not fair to think that the employees and the workers are like slaves to work for the good of the businesses, and you just don't care about them. You just treat them as a function of economic equality, right? Equivalence. So how could it be put in a different way? So leadership theory says that actually people who run their businesses, who have a control over some group of people, they need to inspire them, they need to support them, they need to take them somewhere, some path, they need to show them some path to reach the organizational goals as well as their personal goals, individual career development, right? So actually this inspiration is very important to leadership theories. And there are many recent new theorization, new conceptualization on leadership. Like some theories say that a manager should be or should be a servant leader, for example. Serve, and the leader should serve to the well-being of their followers, well-being of their employees, for example. So in the classical understanding, we think that the employees work serve for their partner for their bosses, right? But they say that there could be a servant leadership style, right? Working for the good of their employees, or spiritual leadership in organizations are told they need to consider their employees not only physical well-being but also psychological, moral, ethical, spiritual well-being as well. I mean, they need to think of their workers, their followers' well-being in all different aspects, from all different aspects. So why I am talking about this? I mean, I want you to understand why we make a distinction between a leader and a manager. A manager is, in the classical terms, do the jobs, follow the rules, right? Monitor the people, and at the end of the day, they report to the top managers uh, with what they do, right? How do they reach their goals? If there's a problem or not. This is a classical understanding of manager. However, a leader is somehow in a more complex way, more should be more flexible to changes, should understand people's psychology, should understand people's needs and abilities and skills and emotions. So, in a project which is somehow different from general management, right? We face more uncertainty. We face more risks. We face more unexpected things. We don't know every detail, for example, in a project, right? There is an uncertain future in front of you. So a classical manager profile does not fit here. A leader profile should be there to solve the problems, to find the good ways, to support their team members and create a team spirit, to create a good atmosphere, good culture in the team to reach their goals. So this is why leadership is important. And according to a study, uh, most important skills to successfully manage highly complex projects are asked to the project members, project team members, and they say that leadership skills is number one, with 81% of the respondents support, right? Leadership skills is the most important factor that affects the success of a complex project, rather than technical project management skills, rather than strategic and business management skills or other things. So this is what I want to explain here is actually why leadership is more important. So what is the difference between them, the manager and the leader? Actually, in very simple way, the manager is look for efficiency. What do you mean by efficiency? Uh, with the given number of inputs, right? Producing the maximum number of outputs. This is what we call efficiency. With the same amount of input, if you can produce more outputs, you will be an efficient manager. Okay, efficient people. So here you see that it's on the business's outcomes, it's on the business interest, it's on about doing something more economical, right? But leaders actually think about the effectiveness. I mean, what would be the impact of that, right? To the people, to the nature, to the other environmental factors, stakeholders, everything. And how effective you done that? What is the process, right? Not only doing input output calculation, but some beyond things that you think that they think. For example, what kind of things that we can compare here? For example, managers want to or ask to require to do things right, do things according to the paper, according to the book. They have an order from their top managers. Maybe they are applying that. They need to do that right. But the leaders are expected to do the right thing. There's an ethical dimension here, right? What is the right thing? There's a moral dimension, right and wrong. The managers want to maintain the status quo. They want to protect the current status of the company, current operations, right? They monitor it. But leaders are expected to develop new processes. They need to be innovative, right? Why? Because in projects, a more uncertain environment, you need to find more complex results, complex solutions to complex problems. So just administering or imitating managers is not enough here. You need to originate new ideas. You need to be innovative. And leaders generally earn their position, and managers they generally state their position. By stating their position, we mean that they use their authority, they use their position as a coercive factor on people, right? And they demand respect from their followers, from their workers. While leaders actually command respect, right? They are respectful to their people, leaders, and they also ask respect from them. But first, they also act as respectful. And leaders focus on people, managers focus on system. We say that before. Managers are more into the organizational goals, organizational systems, protecting them, and they focus on control. And leaders are more focused on the trust, creating a trustful environment between people, between their followers. And what when? Yes, leaders have a long-term goal, managers have short-term view because they just do what they are asked to do in that specific period of time they are managing or leading. Yes, so leader versus managers. So what kind of things that we need to talk about here about a project team? What do we need, right? In a project team, first of all, we need to have an exchange of purposes. So what do we mean by that? So every worker should be responsible for defining that project vision and goals. So everyone in the project team should somehow accept this project as it's their own ideas, they accept their purposes, they dedicate themselves to them. So in a manager-worker way, you cannot find that, right? A manager would not ask a worker to commit themselves to a project or commit or share the same purposes with that project, right? But a leader want to establish some kind of a similar ground, base for same base for sharing the same purpose for the project. First one is that a right to say no. A project team member can disagree on the project's goals, objectives, processes, and he or she can freely say to the project leader, project team manager. Okay, so it requires more a democratic environment. But in the classical management understanding, there is no democratic environment. There is hierarchical understanding of management. Right? A manager orders something, and a worker does that. They cannot question that. But in leadership, actually, leaders are open to the feedbacks of their employees. I mean, they give them a right to say no. They give them to voice themselves, to put their ideas on the table, right? But when you give some freedom to them to express themselves and their ideas, you also put them responsible from these project results. Okay, we call it joint accountability. Jointly, the project team members and project leaders are jointly accountable to the project results, right? And also absolute honesty. I mean, there should be a trust environment in between them. Yes, these are these requirements for a project team. Project team's understanding actually indicate us that projects are more leadership-based teams, not management-based classical manager team, right? So a project manager project managers functions as mini CEOs and manage both hard technical details and soft people issues. Hard and soft, these concepts are used in management a lot. So hard details are technical details about the project or management or business, anything like the finance, the assets, the factories, the supply chain line, the competition, everything. These are hard technical details about the project, and soft details is about people's feelings, people's needs, people's desires, right? These are important things, guys. And project managers acquire project resources, motivate and build teams, have a vision, right? And communicate with other people. So, about the first one, acquiring project resources. So, when you first need to start a project, right? Before starting a project, you need to acquire some resources, financial resources, or physical resources to start that project. But it is said that projects are generally underfunded. Okay, let's say a project is requires $1 million, but generally they are underfunded as $800,000, $900,000. Why? Why is like that? Because the goals are not clear in the project team. So it's the responsibility of the project team or project leader who designed that project, right? Lack of top management support. Sometimes top management, as we say, a board of directors, for example, and you are a project manager in a company, there is top managers in that company. So they don't support your project. They don't like it. They don't give some importance to them. So you ask them the required money, but they don't fund you. It's very common. So maybe you understate the requirements of the project. You miscalculate the numbers. There are insufficient amount of funds for money for the project, and maybe sometimes there are distrust between managers. I mean, the top managers may not trust you or other managers who provide these funds. So because of that, sorry. Before starting a project, generally they come together, right? The people make meetings and discuss on the project's future, discuss on the project's uh, special things, right? What kind of things they need to discuss there? First of all, they need to define clearly what the project is and what are the team here, and also provide them an opportunity to revise, update, and add to knowledge base. Right, everyone can update the project details. Assist team members in understanding role in projects and as a part of all, and how to contribute to project success. This is an important thing. For example, you include some people, some worker in a project team, but they have no idea about that project. You just include them. So you need to make them understand their role, what you are expecting from them. Okay, clearly before beginning the project, you need to say that, okay, you are responsible from these work packages, for example. I'm expecting that from you. So you need to give some clear messages to them. And help stakeholders to increase commitment to the project. Also, these kind of meetings are important. Why? Because not only project team members, but other stakeholders like clients, like funders, maybe like banks, credits who provide the fund for the project, also attend these meetings, and you actually create a commitment of them, get the commitment of them to the project. And also it's an opportunity to discuss and provide visibility for project managers role. Yes. So it's also critical for a project manager to maintain strong contact with their stakeholders. What do I mean by that? I mean, actually, communication is a key factor because generally, if someone asks from you to manage a project, but they're out of the project team, right? They're not a part of the project team. They're just maybe a client, maybe top manager, maybe someone else. You need to build up good communication with them to inform them about the progress of the project, to inform them about the problems of the project or results of the project, right? So these project meetings feature as a task-oriented and group maintenance behavior. How can? How come? For example, you structure the process here. You just discuss about guidance sequence of the project outcomes. You stimulate communication, increase the information exchange. You clarify communication between increase comprehension. You summarize the project and check on understanding and assess progress, how all stakeholders and team members understand the project. And you just create a consensus and agreement, right, on the project. So when you have the consensus after the meeting, you can start that project. And if there's a problem, you can show them the consensus. Okay, you support that, you said that okay to that consensus, to that agreement. So what kind of group maintenance behavior that we can talk about here? Gatekeeping, that is increase and equalize participation, harmonizing the group, right? Reduce the tension and hostility between the groups. It's a very common thing in all project teams, okay? Generally, these project teams are developed from different departments, sometimes from different businesses, different firms, send some people to work in a project, right? For example, in European Union projects, we work with 5 different partners from 5 different countries. So every country, different firms send some people to that project meetings, and sometimes there could be some tensions, high tensions, hostility between people, okay, in that. And also supporting them. By this way, you want to prevent withdrawals from the project, right? Encourage the exchange of information between team members. You set the standards as well within that meetings, and try to regulate behavior and analyze the process, discover and resolve process problems. Yes, these are about the communication before the project starts. What kind of characteristics that we can talk about of an effective project manager? Actually, you can read them. So, say lead by example. He be a role model to their members, right? He has a vision about the future, clear understanding of what they are doing, right? He needs to be competent in terms of technical and professional skills. He needs to be decisive, good communicator, motivator. So stands up to the top management when necessary, supports team members, encourages new ideas. So these kind of characteristics are all polished for being a project manager. I mean, of course, not every project manager does have these characteristics, right? But it would be good for them to have these skills. So, a project manager who are not leaders, what kind of bad characteristics they have? And your book gives the examples of, for example, they set as a bad example. I mean, they could not be a role model. They are not self-assured. They lack some expertise. They don't know what they are doing. Okay, it's a very big problem. There's a manager, but they don't know about the project's technical details. It's a big problem. The communicator and motivator skills is poor. It's a very big problem as well. And also the organizational factors we mentioned about them. Inconsistency work system, resistance to change, lack of top management support, a reactive organization rather than proactive one, and lack of resources. So reactive organization means something happens in the environment, they respond to them. Some new change happens in the environment and they just want to fit that change. But a proactive business organization means that they take action before the environmental change. They want to change the environment themselves. They want to be the first mover. They want to be see the future opportunities and catch them, right? We call these kind of organizations as proactive. Another important thing is the emotional intelligence, which is ability to understand the emotional and relational transaction between people, between the project team members. Okay, it's very important. There are 5 elements in the literature describes the emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Okay, these are why they are important, because a project leader, a project manager should have these to understand, for example, their project team members better. If they don't have empathy, right? If they don't care about the situation of their project team members, there could be really bad problems during the process of project, right? In terms of project members. The social skills, motivation are important as well. And self-awareness and self-regulation is also important emotional skills that a leader should have. What kind of traits that we can talk about affecting project leaders? They should be credible. People should trust them. They should be creative and problem solver, because a project management process is a very complex process, problematic process. Uncertainties, risks are all evident in the are all evident, and they should be tolerant. They should be flexible, have a flexible management style, and they need to have effective communication skills. Again, I mean, as you see, there are so many traits, so many abilities, skills are listed here in the book. I mean, it's not possible for a project manager having all these skills, all these abilities, all these competencies, but they show us some like idealized version of a project manager, right? So, for example, she should be available to work under conflict. He should have experience or decision making. He should be a good decision maker. Creativity, as we said before, cooperation, and integrative thinking. And these kind of things are important. Yes, we come to the project champion. Project champion is someone, okay, who, they define it like that, advocates for the project by constantly praising its benefits, its strategic advantage, return on investment, etc., to the stakeholders, or is a fierce supporter of the project, and provides support for both the project manager and the project team by liaising with upper management to address their worries and obstacles in the project. So, in short, a project champion is an informal role, okay, whose main goal is to make the project succeed by addressing different obstacles while making sure that the stakeholders are always satisfied with the project. So a project champion can be an entrepreneur, the sponsor, the project manager himself, or creative or originator of the project. Okay, are we clear about that? Humeira, did you ask that?
Yes, hocam. But
Huh?
again, I have a question.
Yes.
In the real life, for example, some of the project I'm work, but I didn't see any project champions in this project. For example, okay, we have project sponsor, project leader, and project management, and also project team members, but
Yes.
I didn't any project champions.
Actually, your book is defined that project champion. So in reality, how often you can see these project champions, I don't know. But for example, we can say that someone who is very excited about that project. For example, there is an old CEO of a company or old owner of a company, okay, and he wants to some project. Let's say he wants to make a building, an instruction project, and he gives it to a project manager. Okay, he does not have time and skills to do that, but he just give that project to someone. But he have a very big support for that project behind you. Okay, this is who we can talk a project champion, right? Because he is protecting the project. He is a fanatic about the project. So you have a huge support from within the company, but without outside of the project team who support that project. Okay, I mean this could be a example of a project champion, right?
Okay, okay, just right
This
now it's
kind this
clear.
kind of a thing. I mean, not it's not about the team or who worked the best in the project team. It's not something like that. I mean, it's not like the best worker, best team member, best team manager. Not like that. Someone who has the authority and the powers to convince the stakeholders, the clients, the top management, and support your project. Okay. And I don't know what's in reality how these project champions could be seen, but something written in your book. I don't know.
Also, it's this definition includes the like project sponsors, maybe
Which one? Further?
project sponsor.
Project sponsor.
Yes, it's so
Yes. Yes.
close.
For example, it's a let's say it's a CSR project, okay? It's a corporate social responsibility project, and your sponsor is some firm. They give you some amount of money to help poor people, to build up a school, to, I don't know, run a campaign, something like that. And they could be the project champions as well, right? This kind of a sponsorship sometimes. They want that project badly, so they support that project. They give the money and they believe in the project, so they support you. It's a good thing.
Okay, Hocam, thank you.
Welcome. And sometimes they have the original idea, for example, creative originator of that project idea. They also can advocate the project or not, the project champions. Yes, move on. Champion roles. What kind of roles? Traditional roles with duties, technical understanding, leadership, coordination, control, obtaining resources, administrative, but non-traditional cheerleader, creating the excitement in the project team, visionary, politician, risk taker, ambassador. I mean, maybe we can think of these people as problem solvers as well, right? Sometimes, for example, project teams are doing the technical skills, but there are some political aspects of that project, right? There are some stakeholders need to be convinced. There are some clients need to be talked in a political way. Let's think about our university. We are doing some project. It's a very good project, and we want to take the support of some ministry on that project. Okay, who would be better to go and talk with the ministry about your project? Yourself, me as your lecturer, or the rector himself? The rector himself make an appointment with the minister, talk to the minister and ask his support. He's not a project member, right? But he could be a project champion. And we may need his political power, we may need his authority or presence there, right? To advocate for the project, to provide support for the project. I think it's something like that, okay? Something, some political thing, some upper level thing that you cannot solve within the project limits, but you need the outsider support sometimes to do that. Okay. So it's also said that 4 competencies determine the project leader's success. First of all, understanding and practicing the power of appreciation, appreciating the team members about their progress, motivating them, remind people what is important, keeping them on the track, keeping them on the goals line, objectives line, right? So it's important to focus, to have the focus on the project goals and objectives, and to create trust and align with the leader. Okay, we can see it like that. A project leadership has these focuses, guys. Okay, first of all, people focus. Okay, understand the team members, their needs, their everything. Strategic focus, the visionary on goals, objectives about the project, and the process should be monitored well, controlled well, and also a learning and growth is an important factor here. Okay, I think it's enough for today. This is the end of my presentation. Do you have questions?
Thank you, sir. Can we talk about midterm?
Okay. Let me stop recording and then